Hi everybody, and welcome to the Red Web Superhero Talk Show. I am your host, Brad West, here at the Red Cave, or Red Lair, whatever we call it. Of course, Mr. Greg Burrow from Greg's Lair Comics and Fantasy is here to help talk with us about some of the history. In fact, we're going to be going over Shang Chi. Mrs. Anastasia Anderson is also going to give us some of her cultural perspective and a youthful eye. And we're going to be going over the movie, the history, and the comics this week. If you haven't seen it yet, or if you're going to see it, make sure you get out to the theaters. We'll be watching it at the Bob Bullock Texas State History Museum and Laser IMAX, which is amazing. We're going to talk about Shang-Chi. Now, yesterday we went over the origins, some of the influences, some of the things that were going on in the comic books at the time, and what was popular in culture, which is all what we do here. We bring the relevance of those things together.
So this is a good lead up to the movie.
To give you a little bit of background. Now, of course, like everything else in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's going to have its own interpretations. They're going to be mixing elements of different things together. But we want to give you kind of a background on what to expect for those of you who didn't just grow up reading comic books all the time. Even this one is one that I personally wasn't really deeply familiar with, but the interest is there. I've loved the interactions that I've seen with the character over the years, especially with Spider-Man, obviously, and really fun, interesting stuff. We've learned some really cool new things about Shang-Chi that I didn't even know. So make sure y'all go back and check that out. Like, subscribe, and follow us, and share us, please, and get us out there, get us seen. Today, where are we going from here? We got the origin, and now we're going to be talking about
basically where he's been throughout in the comics. So, like, after his introduction in 1973, he had an ongoing series until 1983.
That's a full 10 years. That's a good run for a solo character that's not one of the main characters.
Yeah, so it was pretty impressive that it ran that long. And then, of course, had two more short series. It was The Master of Kung Fu, Bleeding Black one-shot in 1990, and the Max miniseries, Master of Kung Fu Hellfire Apocalypse, which was in 2002.
But he's been in other books. Like one of the first actual, I think, series that I ever read him in was he was in, I think, the third. I know he interacted in the first and second incarnations of Heroes for Hire, but the third series, y'all all know I always talk about Misty Knight on here because I love her so much, and he was on one of her teams. So that was when I first got to start knowing him.
And for a while, he was an Avenger.
He was an Avenger recently, yeah.
Yeah, so he's been in a lot of different teams. He's done a lot of different things. And over the years, he's actually had a lot of different powers attributed to him for short periods. Because one of the main draws of Shang-Chi is that he is just a normal human. He's just a normal guy who is trained all his life
in martial arts.
And
I think the closest analog character, I know DC, we were talking about other martial arts and kung fu type characters. Legion of Superheroes had Karate Kid.
Yeah.
And that was like basically the thing, the absolute, like in the Legion of Superheroes is like everybody has to have one superpower. The Karate Kid was the only one who was allowed onto the team because he had evolved his power so much that they thought he had superpowers. And that's kind of the same thing that started off with Shang-Chi, is that he had just learned to focus his energy and his healing and his personal chi so much that to the untrained eye, it appeared as though he had superpowers. Even Ares, the god of war in the comic books, had been known to say that Shang-Chi could hold toe-to-toe with a god.
So, you Last Dragon fans, he got the glow.
The glow.
Yeah.
I love
I'm
that
like,
movie.
are they so... It's like, was that a thing back then, that people were so... Either you go Marvel or DC, that they could just repeat characters and notice?
You know what? We should
goodness,
do an episode of like that.
That's a genuine question.
That is,
I'm so used to mixing
throughout
now.
history.
Like,
History, it's been one of them does one thing, and
the other one likes to do it. Yeah,
and then the other
that's
will do
not
something,
just
and then
in the
they'll copy
cinematic universes now where they're doing it. They have constantly done that, and there's certain archetypes that have come
and
to be.
There's been bickering back and forth.
Who
You
created
can't
what
do
first?
this. Well, okay, and then another one will do something. It's kind of like the whole Wonder Man debacle where
Wonder Man / Wonder Woman / Power Girl / Power Man. Yeah,
yeah.
It was a thing.
And then also there's the whole like, I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. It really
they
does.
all have things. Yeah, they do that. And what's really is amusing is how frequently one will be more popular than another one. So in the public conscious, people will assume that was the original. Like for instance,
Marvel.
Aquaman. Aquaman is like, oh my god, Namor is just a ripoff of Aquaman. Like Namor has been like 20 plus years. Yeah, 20 plus years. You know, characters like that happen all the time. X-Men actually came after Doom Patrol. But there were so many similarities that people like to think that Doom Patrol, I was like, oh, they're these weirdos led by a guy in a wheelchair. And it's like, yeah, they actually came first.
Right? I read such a wide range of comics that I can like notice immediately when they basically just made the same character just in a different suit.
Well, you know what?
Like, wait.
That's an amazing
Well, it's
point.
like Heroes Reborn. I mean, like the I can't remember what they call her in the Marvel Universe.
Power Princess.
Power Princess.
Is Wonder Woman.
So much like Wonder Woman, but she's wearing all black.
Well,
yeah.
That's a totally different story
for me.
because that was deliberately meant to be they were a pastiche of the Justice League, but we come talk about those later. Now, talking about Shang-Chi, I love that you brought that up because this actually makes a really good point that my friend Frank did, and unfortunately he couldn't be with us, but he will be here with us at the end of the week to do the review, so make sure you guys are checking in for that because you know he's always amazingly fun with his reviews and his opinions.
Yes.
But the thing about Shang-Chi is that he's had powers over the years in different ways and things. And just like when it comes to having clones of characters, it's not their power or their gimmick. It's the stories and the character and the direction that the writers and the creators take them in that makes them unique. It ends up coming down to their personalities and how they handle the things, how they use the powers and the utilization of those gimmicks that make them actually unique. And I think that's the thing with Shang-Chi that's allowed him to incorporate into tons of different things in the Marvel Universe. He's definitely more prolific than Karate Kid or some of the other ones.
Because when you said that, I was like, wait, what?
Definitely has been part of bigger, more important and interesting stories. Like I was talking about the Heroes for Hire storyline. I love Spider Island's one of my favorite Spider-Man stories. The whole Spider Island crossover, and I mentioned it many times. At the time in the comic books, Peter did not have his spider sense, and he had lost his spider sense basically, and had learned and had realized for the first time that he had been depending on his spider sense too hard to fight. His fighting skills were heavily crippled because he couldn't feel things coming anymore. And so Madam Web had Shang-Chi teach him to find the way of the spider fighting style. And it was really interesting because then it turned around and then Spider Island, Shang-Chi actually ends up getting the spider sense because he gets infected with the spider virus. And so Peter has to teach him how to use the spider sense. So it's really interesting. And he's had different powers. Like, what are some of the weird ones we had found? Like, I know...
Well, didn't he use PIM particles?
At some point in the comic books I never read, he got large and small. The one that I found the oddest was that he got irradiated by some kind of a cosmic beams and for a while had multiple man-esque powers, which I guess actually, if you're like the greatest martial artist in the world and you could turn yourself into an entire Chinese army, that's got to be pretty useful.
Yeah.
That's got to be pretty cool. But it always comes back down to the fact that he is the best at what he does. I mean, even to the point where he's taught Wolverine. He's taught Spider-Man. When
he was in the Avengers, Iron Man gave him like bracers that like helped him, like focus his chi and do some special things. So
right, like another kinetic energy yada yada thing. It's like,
and then his nunchucks had repulsor beams.
The nunchucks. That's what I want. I want repulsor nunchucks.
I don't.
Right? How many times did you hit yourself in the head with plastic nunchucks? Repulsor beams would be bad. So I like that. So anyway, so what are some of the newer stories that we got going on now?
In 2020, Shang-Chi started in a self-titled 5-issue miniseries written by Jin Lun Yang with art by Dyke Ruan.
Yeah.
And Philip Tan, and initially set for a June 2020 release. The first issue was delayed to September due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And he's got a new ongoing series by Yang and Run in 2021.
Well, I know recently he was in the one of the more recent Avengers storylines, where the Phoenix Force came to choose a new champion, instead of Jean Grey, and started pitting everybody against each other. And so they had like a battle world kind of situation where each of them had a portion of the Phoenix Force. And Shang-Chi actually managed to be one of the highest rung fighters. And also the one that looked interesting that I just dropped it.
Dropped it.
I just dropped
Oh
it.
no.
Yeah.
With the thing that he was doing recently.
Oh no.
The Phoenix Force, and he's in something else new right now. Ah! I had these
I'm
notes written down.
sorry, we failed you guys.
We did. I did.
Again,
I
this would help in the near future. We're going to start a Patreon. So
yes, so we read these comics ourselves and tell you these stories a little bit better. Then we could definitely get them out there and get you some more interesting stuff in there.
And that's good to know that I didn't realize that that Shang-Chi thing was coming out in September, which is a good...
Oh!
It's good timing.
Marvel Voices. Make sure you're reading the Marvel Voices.
Oh,
there we
the
go.
new Marvel Voices that just came out, which has got it's their Asian Heritage collection, and it's got a really good Shang-Chi storyline in it. That was the one I was
It's
trying to
like,
remember.
please do. Marvel Voices is amazing.
And that's why it's interesting. This latest miniseries, like Greg was saying, was Chinese creators, and that's one of the great things about Marvel Voices is that it has it doesn't just have Chinese characters; it actually has Chinese creators, and we want to see more of that too, and
I think that's
authentic
amazing.
voices.
I'm really happy to see that that's happening, where they're actually getting creators that are from the same background as the characters to actually write about those characters.
And it makes
like
such a huge
I think
difference, too.
the big thing about Miss Marvel was that it was a Muslim female writer writing that book, and I think that was amazing. And
I do find that that's an interesting thing that's really topical right now, and in all literature and television and media and any kind of storytelling. It's yes, we need representation, but on top of having those characters present, we need authentic voices. I know I can talk from experience with gay characters,
Right.
and
It's like we can tell better stories than people.
and it's not that we're saying straight people shouldn't have gay characters, or black people or white people shouldn't write black characters. Just don't try and tell gay stories and black stories.
The authentic stories are going to come from.
Yeah, don't try and
different
have our
people.
voices, and that's what I think what we're looking
well,
forward
also
to.
I think this comes down to research, because I think that these stories can be told by people that are not in those situations if they do their research. Unfortunately, a lot of times what happens is that
they make assumptions.
They make assumptions, and they just do like a glossary.
Yeah,
research.
and there's been
deep
good
in
stories
and-
where it's like they've gone and they've talked to, like, even some of the Marvel Voices. I think a couple of the gay stories were written by straight writers who actually they talked to gay people and their and got them, and that you're right. Do the research, talk to the people, learn the people, understand them, make that
Some
effort
people
to reach
do
out.
amazing research,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's why their stuff is so
Oh, yeah.
good. Laurel K. Hamilton is one that
Oh, yeah.
comes right to mind. She does so much research before she does anything, and she's got. I mean, she goes overboard in her research in a lot of ways, which I love. Because, I mean, she's actually got forensic books where she goes in and she actually, reads about forensics and all that kind of stuff with the gory photos and everything.
But right now, though, culturally speaking, though, I think it's important that Patty Jenkins did the Wonder Woman.
Yes.
When we're getting that foothold in, I think to start with, Ryan Coogler doing Black Panther, I think that I don't know the director of Shang-Chi because I'm not familiar with their work, but I do know that they are Chinese backgrounds, and they have those, and it's going to have that representation. So that's why I'm looking forward to seeing this, because that's what our hopes are. That's our hopes and our fears, is how authentic is this voice? How much how much of this is actually going to be? Because there's a lot of stuff out there that you watch, and it's like, it's Chinese characters, but it's still
but also a lot of it
a non-Chinese representation. That's what some people's concerns with Aquafina is like, is she going to be there to stereotype? Is she going to be there to represent authentic American Chinese? Because
she kind of has a shtick.
She has a shtick, and
has a shtick.
and I can see that. I'm not familiar with her work personally,
If you've seen anything with Aquafina, and that's basically going to be her character consistently with everything.
Yeah.
Except for, oh no, what was that really good movie that came out? It's like she had a really nice movie talking about the death of her grandma.
That wasn't Crazy Rich Asians.
No.
Because even then, even then that one was on the fence. It's like, yo, that one.
Crazy Rich Asians, she was
well
playing
here.
Aquafina.
It did well here, but it didn't do as well overseas because and it's really hard to say. I mean, I personally wouldn't know. I'm fascinated to see what our friend Frank is going to say about it because he's really got me aware of what I'm going to be looking for. I'm fully going to enjoy it. It's a Marvel movie. If nothing else, I mean, just like the cameos and Easter eggs alone are probably going to thrill me. But I want to see that new voice. I want to see something that's an authentic American Chinese voice.
Well,
Well, that'd be really wonderful. And I mean, again, we're running into issues where how much the creators are given free reign. I think that the new Suicide Squad movie, for example, James Gunn was given free reign and it shows.
Mm-hmm.
He was
brilliant,
given more
wonderful,
free
and
reign.
It was a piece of art.
Yeah, it was definitely a piece of art.
It was lovely.
Whereas there's
it was
other
a visceral
iterations
piece
or
of
other
art.
movies from the DC universe where you can tell people have roughshod
Meddling.
over the director's intentions, and it shows. It's
Right.
I want to see. Yeah. So so this has been Shang Chi in Comics Part 2. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the villains to give you a little background story on the Mandarin, and we might even hark back a little bit to Fu Manchu just so you can see that contrast and everything. But again, this is the Red Web. I'm Brad West, Miss Anastasia, and Mr. Gregory, and we're going to be coming back to you the rest of the week. Like, subscribe, follow, and share. You're going to find us on bradsredweb.com where you can catch us. Make sure you're catching our daily content, and if you get backlogged, you can always find us on YouTube, Facebook Watch, and sometimes Twitch.
And also go to bradsredweb.com.
Do that.
So, yeah.
All right, we will talk to you tomorrow. Thank you
Take
for joining
care.
us.